Well, it seems that Jasper's supposed girlfriend left him, and by his own words, that she basically did not want to put up with his shit. She heard how hateful he was, and this is what happens when you're hateful on here. You think you have friends on here, but you really don't. No, part of Boys Club. But in Jasper's case, which is proof of the pudding right there, that he said it, well, you know, things didn't work out for them because he asked her, are you willing to put up with this? Are you willing to support me on being hateful on YouTube? And she said no. There you go. There's a great example right there. Yeah. My girlfriend really doesn't get much involved with this shit on here. Okay, because she doesn't want to be hateful like these people are. She doesn't want to get involved in that unless it personally affects me or her. Then, of course, she's all for that. But in Jasper's case, he wanted his proposed girlfriend to go along with his shit. Jasper is, well, he's now realizing that everything is kind of catching up with him, as it does with everybody. Everything catches up with you sooner or later. Yeah, I heard Roberto on Big Kevin's show the other day, and every time he's on live, he can't help but talk about me. But there's a lot of negative things about me, but who's the one that can't stop talking about me? I barely ever really talk about Roberto unless I really have to. But Roberto, you know, he has a bone to pick with me, apparently, and making threats all the time. Don't forget, he's a real stand-up character. He's a guy that said that if he saw me in Cebu, he would attack me, and if my girlfriend was with me, that he would attack her too. And that's a real man for you, right? Sorry, you might hear the hose in the background here, water. Cleaning some windows here a little bit. Yeah, that's a real man for you. Not. A lot of people are big mouth. Oh yeah, a surprise is coming for you, and I've heard this for 7.5 years. Yeah, look, the bottom line is that nobody, especially here in the Philippines, if they had half a brain in their head, is not going to go on the physical attack of somebody. I'm not saying that's never happened on YouTube. Somebody attacked, who was it, MJ, that time? I mean, it happens. Now, if they get away with it, it's all fine. But what's the chances normally that's going to happen? You know, you can't make threats to people. Even as a threat, even if you don't follow through with that threat. I mean, you made a threat. I mean, that's just the bottom line. You made a threat. You made a threat, period. Which is not cool. And like I said, it catches up with these people sooner or later. Everybody acts big on YouTube. I mean, that's the whole shtick. You know what I mean? You know, act like a badass, but you can't deliver. And one of the reasons you can't deliver is because either you're a coward or you have some sensibility left in your head that knowing that the Philippines is one place that you probably really don't want to get too involved with any physical violence with anybody, unless you're actually protecting yourself. That's a different story altogether. But I've been hearing this for 7.5 years. What they're going to do to me, what they're going to do to me, they're going to do. Nobody's done shit. Excuse me. And those that have tried, they haven't accomplished anything. Because there's really nothing to accomplish. I mean, you got to have a reason. You have to have a real reason to go after somebody in court or whatever the venue is, you know. I mean, you really have to have a solid reason for any of these administrations to take action or do anything on your request. I told you that before in another show. It just doesn't happen that way. And as I said, if anybody knows, well, I could say I certainly do. I could definitely say that I do. No doubt about it. It gets tiring to all of us. Of course, including myself, of course. But I've been hearing this thing for years. By the time they could do any kind of action, they'll be dead from their own health issues. And we got several of them that are probably dying right now, and they don't even realize it. Every one of them is obese or has some other health problems. Yeah, high cholesterol, sausage, you know, things like that. Obesity, diabetes, you know, high blood pressure. Jeez, infection. It's inevitable where that's going. You know, I guess you could always look at life this way and say, well, you know, don't worry about them. They're, in regards to their health and so forth and so on, they're not going anywhere except 6 feet under. So if you want to look at it that way, here you go, problems are over. Let Father Time take its toll. Yeah, but Roberto's been giving me shit for ever since. And he's one of the guys that actually got kicked out of the RRR. Popeye's even got kicked out of RRR. Our friend Gary the Gak tried to join RRR, but then he had his own problems. I can't forget that fight he had with Popeye. Gary was drunk. And he laid it on Popeye, and Popeye was almost losing his voice, yelling at Roberto. Roberto can't help, himself with, the adversity. I mean, he has a show coming up. He's going to be talking about Jasper and other people. But how he makes judgment on other people, this goes for a lot of people, but in particular this second, Roberto. Roberto makes all this judgment on people, but look at him. It's all he's ever done. When have you ever heard, this is a good question for all my viewers. Let's be honest about it. When have you heard him being nice to anybody on here? And he has such a vengeance with me that every time he comes on his own show, it's either a show about me, or if he's doing comments or he's a guest at another show, he's talking about me. Now, you talk about obsession. They said I was obsessed with Barry, with a good reason. What is he doing? He's absolutely obsessed because he's pissed off because he didn't want to shut his mouth. And several occasions had some police come to his door to tell him, hey, this shit's got to stop. So he's held that against me because he was embarrassed about the whole thing. And I don't blame him. He was embarrassed. That was the whole purpose. It was my way of saying, shut your fucking mouth. It's going to get you in trouble. So the neighbors saw this, I'm sure it wasn't a great thing for the family. That's why he's pissed at me. Well, whose fault is that? Who started this? Why did I have to get the local police involved with this? Because he wasn't shutting his mouth. He made threats to me. He made threats to my girlfriend. I said, I wasn't going to put up with this shit. And I usually don't. He knows I have this incredible tenacity. Even Aloe himself said it. Forget about YouTube. You're not going to do anything to get Frank off YouTube. He's been here like 7.5 years. Who's counting? We tried everything we could. We tried everything. It's just nothing working. We're not going to get rid of Frank. And they're right. When I decide to get off, it'll be on my own terms and my own accord. Right now, I'm still on. And you'll know when I'm not because he just won't hear me anymore. Now, Roberto also claims I got thrown off 3 different times. That never happened. The only time I got off was some stupid thing that I did. I lost a lot of shows. I decided to put my show on hide. You have that feature. Instead of hide the channel, I deleted it. Hit the wrong button. And I spent a lot of time trying to get that back, and I couldn't. That's the only time I was actually off, but it was by my own hand. It had nothing to do with anybody else. Nothing. Zero. By the way, I want to do a special shout out to Ken B out there, Ken Anderson. Where are you now, Ken? You back in Thailand? I know all about you, Ken. You're going to die like your brother did. Die like your brother did. You're going to rot in fucking hell. Anyway, I had to throw that in. Okay. So, don't mind Roberto, because Roberto, he's fueled by hatred. Absolutely fueled by hatred. It's what drives him. What kind of man who's supposed to respect the Filipino culture and Filipinos, who he claims that he's part Filipino, well, I think he's mostly Samoan, threatens an innocent Filipina such as my girlfriend? That famous statement that he made that if I saw Frank in Cebu, I'd do something to him, and I would consider, his exact words, I would consider harming her too. You gonna respect a man like that? Does this man not have a lot of hatred inside of him? Is he well mentally? Apparently not. Who makes a statement like that? I've never made a statement on here, but any woman that I was going to hurt physically, a woman on here, I've never said that. Never said that. He did, although he denies everything he said. Now, this ain't about Roberto the whole show here, but I wanted to mention that. Roberto just carries a lot of hatred inside of him. He's not that well that you think he is. And to go through a gastric bypass stomach, yeah, he did weigh a lot. What did he say his weight was? About 300 pounds? 300 pounds. Now, because of the gastric bypass, he said he's down to 201. Well, I'm not sure how tall he is. 201 is certainly better than 300. But that's how he lived his life, 300 pounds. Because he couldn't keep his mouth shut verbally or in regards to shoveling all the fucking food and all the high cholesterol sauces he used to consume. That's where he got the nickname High Cholesterol Sausage Man, because his shoveling all that food in his big mouth, and he does have a big mouth, made him 300 pounds. That's a lot of weight. That's a lot of weight. Look at Big Kevin. It's good for him. He lost some weight, but I don't see no big difference, not with my eyes. However, he still is grossly obese, and he is now age 61, and he's in the danger zone right now. He's got a lot of problems with his health, physiologically and mechanically. He can't walk from his aunt's basement door to the pond without breathing heavy. What does that tell you? Kevin's not going to kick anybody's ass. He might have been a big badass back in his younger days. All he is just a big fat piece of shit right now. That's all he is. A lying piece of shit who knows how to manipulate people out of the money out of their pockets. That's all he is. Nothing more than that. Doesn't even have his own place. He has to rent the basement apartment from his aunt. Oh yeah, he's going to give money to his daughters. What's the likelihood of that? What's the likelihood of him coming to the Philippines? He's going to tell you what you want to hear so he can get money. But I think a lot of you guys have figured that out already, haven't you? So what are you going to do, Roberto? Something's coming, you said. What's coming, Roberto? Tell me, what's coming? Nothing. Nobody but nobody is going to physically confront me. Nobody. It would be the stupidest thing in the world they ever tried to do, and they would regret it for the rest of their life. You know that. I know that. Talk is cheap. But try something. See what happens. See what happens. This is the Philippines. It ain't America. You can get away with shit here. I know. The government don't care about white people. Well, Barry's white. Where is he now? Okay, answer your question on that one? Yeah. Oh, what's wrong, Ricky? You're not talking about Barry too much. Well, there's no money to be made off him anymore. Isn't that why you're not talking about Barry anymore? He's got to find another scam now. He's mentioned a few of them already. He's challenging everybody. Challenging McFisher. Whoever steps in his way. Well, we've seen him in action before. The coward he was, how he hit Fazio from behind. And we've seen Mick Fisher approach him, and he just practically kneeled down to suck his dick and apologize to him. Just what these people are all about. Like I said, go after the real criminals on here. People like Ricky. Go after Roberto. He's a fucking criminal if I ever knew one. Go after Popeye. He's a fucking criminal. He's behind a lot of this shit on YouTube. People like Barry. People like Big Kevin. They're criminals. They're worthless pieces of shit that should not even be walking on this earth. They're walking, talking abortions. That's what they are. That's what they are. Everything catches up with you sooner or later. Nobody had their way with me, and they're pissed. 7.5 years of attacking me, promises to kill me, hurt me, bring me into court, not even once, 7.5 years. Because, again, there has to be a reason to have any court case on anyone. There has to be a reason with such solid evidence, not third party, not hearsay, not off camera, not because they have a dislike for somebody and you're hoping that some organization is going to say, okay, well, we won't allow him to come back in the country if he renews his visa or not, or try to get him out of the country. That's just not going to happen. Why? Because it doesn't happen that way. That's not the way it happens. It's just not. It's wishful thinking at best, but to do something like this, it's like to dream the impossible dream. Okay? You've got to have a reason. Then, when you are saying bad things about somebody's immigration, you are in fact defaming somebody's character. Unless you could prove every single thing that you reported to the BI, or otherwise. Unless you could prove it beyond a doubt. It could be perjury involved and you could get in trouble, okay? Or, if you're lucky, they'll just say, it ain't gonna happen, pal. This is not evidence. We don't know this to be true. We know what we heard on a video. We've heard recordings. We've seen AI, okay? We've seen him maybe get in fights with a few people on YouTube, but that doesn't make him a bad person. That doesn't mean he did anything illegally. Follow me? But nice try. I know a lot of people getting frustrated like Aloe. But like I said, concentrate on the real criminals. The ones that really need to get out, like Jasper, Uncle Jesse, and of course, Richard Jarrett. A must. A must. I'm going to make another prediction that Ricky's going to have a whole lot of trouble. Well, it's not just a prediction. It's a plan. Ricky has done enough damage on YouTube to actually be one of these people that maybe the Bureau of Immigration is going to listen to. It's a special case. The guy is obviously insane. And maybe he could get out on some insanity level. But it doesn't help Ricky. No, it doesn't help him. The fact he's already got himself on the files in this state for assault. That's where he really fucked up. Like Barry, all the fuck-ups he did. Ricky made a lot of fuck-ups too. That's where Ricky fucked up, okay? That's where Ricky fucked up. He tries anything with anybody. They can look back on his record and say, well, you did some premeditated assault here. And you did go to jail, short as it was, but he still went to jail. And still has a pending case on him. From the same person that he assaulted. Or is he going to be realistic and realize that's going to hurt him? He continues on the path of destruction that he's going through as we speak right now. Not everybody can get their way on here. Sure, there's a lot of people. I get wishful thinking too about certain people. I wish they could leave the face of the earth, go to jail, be deported, or somebody beat the shit out of them. But things got to happen in their own time. It don't have to be me. Somebody out there that he pissed off, an old girlfriend. Somebody pissed off an old girlfriend. Or something about the Filipino culture. He'd catch up with him. Like it did with Barry, in his own way. Well, that's all I have to say. Roberto, go back to your little taco trucks. Don't eat up all the profits. Your stomach can only stretch out so far. You don't have much of a stomach left. That's what got you in trouble in the first place, didn't it? It all had to do with one factor. Verbally or physically, I mean, you couldn't shut your mouth. And that's what made you have to lose 99 pounds, 100 pounds, because you couldn't shut your mouth. That's all it was all about. And you still can't shut your mouth. And that's going to potentially get you into more trouble. Like you said, surprises around the corner sometimes, you know. You just never know. You just never know.